The next talk is by Professor P.V.S. Kishore. Dr. P.V.S. Kishore is the Professor and Head of Department of Veterinary Anatomy, College of Veterinary Science, Gannavaram, Andhra Pradesh, India. He established the Will Body Program in veterinary education, the first of its kind in India. He pioneered the development of the innovative T-code anatomy educational models. He guided many postgraduate scholars for research works on laboratory animals. He is presently undertaking a DST project on bone regeneration in rats. And now Dr. P.V.S. Kishore will deliver a talk on the printed alternatives to animals in veterinary education, where he will shed some lights on the printed alternatives with 3D computer-aided design, which are substitutes for visual learning and which gives you a realistic lifelike experience and conforms to the 3R's principle and provide superior learning outcomes.
A warm welcome to everyone for the first international conference series on 3R's research and progress, advances in animal models, and cutting-edge research in alternatives. I am Professor P.V.S. Kishore from the Department of Veterinary Anatomy, College of Veterinary Science, Gannavaram, in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Printed alternatives to animals in veterinary education. I'm thankful to the organizers, the OncoSeek Bio, for having given me the opportunity to speak on this occasion. Veterinary education, as you all know, in India is governed by the Veterinary Council of India regulations, and it encompasses both teaching and research. In the area of teaching, there had been a number of curricular changes over the years. And one of the significant curricular change that took place was in the year 2008, when the VCI revised its curriculum, and it included a course on animal welfare to look into the aspects of both the large and small animals that veterinarians deal with. And the next important curricular change took place in 2016, and this was even more important. And the Veterinary Council of India suggested alternatives to healthy animal sacrifice by way of a willed body program, especially, and coupling it with computer simulations. I'll be explaining to you in detail in the coming slides about what this willed body program is. Now, in the area of research, we are governed by the CPCSEA and IAEC regulations. We, being a biological science institute, we too get registered with the CPCSEA, and we have all our protocols being approved through the institutional analytics committees. Now, what is important in the field of veterinary education, after all these curricular changes have come, is we have turned towards humane education. Being veterinarians, we are basically compassionate with animals, and we understand the animals best compared to anyone else. And we know what respect we need to give for life, whatever is the level of sentience. And these curricular changes have enabled us to see that the animal usage policy changes in tune with the changing world. Now, if you see the scenario in the developing and the developed nations, and also in all the advanced countries, you see that many of the veterinary colleges have done away with the use of live animals or the animal parts. And they have arrived at a situation where the teaching objectives are met using non-animal alternatives. And that is the need of the hour. So, what were the traditional methods? What are the alternatives that we have found? If you see the traditional animals from vendors and the animal parts from those live animals were being used for teaching. And sacrifice was very much essential to get the animal bodies to do the dissections. And this process of sacrificing live animals was a painful procedure, and it was unethical. And moreover, these specimens that were got from the cadavers of these animals, the live animals that were sacrificed, had to be stored in formalin for long-term usage. Now, how is it that in the field of veterinary education, we are implementing the principles of 3 Rs? I'll just try to throw light on the traditional method and the alternatives that we have found out to these traditional methods. As I have explained earlier, when it comes to the replacement, one of the 3 Rs, in the traditional method, we were sacrificing live animals that were purchased from the vendors for the purpose of dissection so that the students could gain hands-on skills. And now what is it that we have done? We are embalming cadavers. Cadaver is the dead body of an animal. And how are we going to get these dead bodies? They are being ethically sourced, wherein we sensitize the clients, that is, the owners of the animals, that their animals, which are terminally ill and are destined to death, those which come to our veterinary hospitals and the clinics surrounding our hospital and our college and all the areas in and around our city. We meet the vets over there and we sensitize the clients through an outreach program or ethically sourced through the client donation program. It is the equivalent of the body donation that is being done in the humans. And also we get cadavers regularly to the post-mortem section of our college. Either these are the animals that are treated in our own clinic, or those are the animals that are from our own livestock farm complex. And some of them are terminally ill and destined to death. That means we need to euthanize them and put them to sleep. Some of the cadavers, either on these terminally animals that were destined to death and we have put to sleep through euthanasia, or on the ethically sourced cadavers through the body donation program by the consent of the clients. So this is the principle of replacement, to see that we minimize or avoid the sacrifice of live animals for the purpose of dissection. And the second principle of reduction, how we are going to go about in this. Now, if you see the traditional method, they were using a number of live animals. They were sacrificing a host of animals so that a group of 4 or 5 students could get an animal to improve on the dissection skills and to gain hands-on experience. Now we have reduced the sacrifice of the live animals, and just I have now explained that we implement the body donation program wherein we get the cadavers and we embalm the cadavers. Embalming is the process of infusing a chemical called formalin into the body of the animal to see to it that it doesn't putrefy, and it is used in the long term for the students to dissect upon. Now, in addition to the dissection skills, in addition to the number of animals that we provide for dissection, some of the cadavers that we have embalmed, which were procured through the body donation program, we dissect them beforehand. That is, the tutors or the professors dissect them, and we make the recordings of the dissections. And these dissected specimens, we provide them to the students. Now the difference is, unlike the earlier period where each of the students were given the live animals to sacrifice and do their dissection, now these groups of students are not provided individually. The already dissected specimens, that is the prosected specimens, are provided to the students, and the recordings of these are made available to them for later viewing. And another thing that we have done in this principle of reduction is that the earlier procedures were all being carried out at graduate level, and now we have done away with these procedures of sacrificing live animals and doing the dissections at graduate level. And it is only at the postgraduate level and the doctoral level where it is more important for the students to learn these skills to the extent, to the possibility of minimizing it, and to the best extent we see that only at postgraduate level with all the permissions we see that animals are being provided to the students to hone their dissection skills. And we have the YouTube channel, and as I have told you, all the prosections that are recorded are uploaded in the YouTube channel for the students for later view. Now coming to the third R, that is the refinement. Now if you see in the traditional method, we were simply bleeding the animal to death, and I have told you that it was a painful and an unethical procedure. And now coming to the embalming of terminally ill animals, we heparinize it prior to euthanasia. Euthanasia means it is mercy killing. Heparinization means we are injecting a chemical to see that the blood doesn't clot and it remains in the liquid state. So those are the animals that are destined to death. And for those of the animals that the owner has given consent to terminate its life, we heparinize those animals and then we euthanize those animals with the consent of the owner, taking into cognizance all the legal formalities on record. And these animals are embalmed. It is a less painful procedure. That is one difference. And now coming to the other one, we had earlier being used the gravitational force method, and we have changed to a peristaltic pump wherein we can regulate the pressure like 300 ml per minute or 500 ml per minute, the pressure for infusing the formalin. And the third important aspect is it is not only formalin that we infuse. To enhance the keeping quality of the cadavers, we use pre-embalm flush out solutions prior to injecting formalin. And this keeps the vascular system of the animal well and sees to it that they are having a good keeping quality. And another difference we can make out between the traditional method and the cadaver embalming method is that earlier bleeding was followed by infusion. That means we used to thoroughly bleed the animal till the last drop of blood came out. And then we used to infuse the chemical called formalin. We have formulated and we have found out and we have adapted a new technology where there is a simultaneous approach. While the animal is being bled to death, it is simultaneously infused. And as I have told you earlier, we first infuse it with the pre-embalm flush out solutions and then with the formalin. So in this way, in veterinary education also, we see to it that the principles of 3 R's are well taken care of. And we see to it that the compassion for the animal life is looked into. So in addition to this, we have developed a number of anatomical techniques. Now, this is a Spitz dog that came to our pathology department for postmortem. We have counseled the owner, and that owner gave consent to donate the cadaver of this Spitz dog after the postmortem to the anatomy department for teaching purpose. And with the procedure that I have explained for embalming of cadavers, we have embalmed this donated cadaver. It is a small breed of dog. And this dog, we can now say it as a donated cadaver. And after we have embalmed a donated cadaver, we provide it to the students. So here we have seen to it that the donated cadaver is being used for education purpose. And this gives immense sense of satisfaction to the donor and as well to the students who are working on that. And it is not that the whole body that we use it. as I have told you in the previous slide, we use parts of the animal body. And you see, this is the stomach and intestine of a pig that we have retrieved from the slaughterhouse attached to our college. Normally, some of these organs are disposed of, but to make use of the parts of the animals that are destined for disposal, we retrieved these and we have found out a technique using a pressure pump, which you can see here. This is the pressure pump. So we use this pressure pump to see that we remove the complete contents and insufflate it with the pressure pump. And we see to it that the in situ position of the stomach and intestines of this pig are not lost. And after complete evacuation of the contents and flushing it out and insufflating with air, we see to it that we later embalm with the formalin fluid and leave it alone for a few days. And these hollow organs, they get completely embalmed and they are ready for use. You see in this picture, you compare to the previous picture. In the previous picture, you have seen the hollow organs. But here in this picture, you are seeing the solid organs. So this is the liver. These are the lungs. This is the heart. And these are the kidneys from the same animal, from the pig that was slaughtered in a humane method of slaughter. So we developed a technique that in addition to embalming the hollow organs, we would also embalm the solid organs. So following a simple anatomical technique of just passing the embalming fluid in the normal course of the vascular system, we saw to it that these solid organs are also embalmed. And these solid organs are also provided for viewing and for learning by the students. So here, in these instances, what we have done is we have not purposely sacrificed animals for the purpose of learning. We have retrieved the animals that were slaughtered as per humane methods, and we have adapted the technologies to see that these organs can be embalmed. In the normal routine, without this technology, the organs that are retrieved from a cadaver cannot be embalmed. But with this technology, we could embalm these animals that were retrieved and these organs that were retrieved from these animals. You see this picture? Every veterinary college has a livestock farm complex where we have all the livestock pertaining to all the different species for the purpose of education to the students. So in our livestock farm complex, we have sensitized the head of the department of the livestock farm complex. And one of the she buffalo aborted. And this was around 4 to 5 month old aborted fetus from the livestock farm complex. And on a book transfer, they give it following the normal course of the fetal circulation that normally happens in the fetus when it is in situ, inside the womb of the mother. We have seen to it that through the umbilical veins, we have infused the solution, and we have seen to it that this aborted buffalo fetus has been embalmed. And this is a very good specimen to study the embryology, the prenatal development, because it is still around 4 to 5 months old, and it was from the womb of the mother, and due to a miscarriage, we aborted, and we have retrieved this. Normally, it will be buried or incinerated, but we have retrieved it, seen to it that it is embalmed and it is used for learning purpose. The other aspect I told you that the Veterinary Council of India has suggested, apart from the body donation program, is the computer simulations and the computerization of the labs. So now you see, this is my gross anatomy laboratory, the only laboratory of this kind in the country. I have seen to it that this gross anatomy laboratory has the multiple monitor viewing system with ceiling mounted monitors. These are our 32-inch LED TVs. You see these students in the last row, they are looking towards the rear of the classroom. There are two more monitors turned towards their side. And you see, I am here demonstrating a bone. And this is my colleague professor here. This is another colleague here. So while I am demonstrating any animal part, it is simultaneously seen through the projector on this screen, and it is simultaneously seen on all these multiple monitors. And if the student really wants, he can even come near to the teacher's table and view it live. And all these recordings are made available. Histology laboratory. So any slide that we put in the microscope, it was difficult earlier for us to see, and then ask the students to see, and there would be some communication gaps. So now here the advantage is we have the live viewing of the slides and we have the recorded viewing of the slides as playback, both for learning and both for evaluation. This is the digitized histology laboratory. And as I have told you, not just limiting it to the college level. This is the anatomy department in my college, wherein we were the first in the country to launch a YouTube channel for the educational content in the field of veterinary anatomy. And this is named as Wild Body Program, Gannavaram, Andhra Pradesh. So all the videos of these dissections and all the lectures that we regularly videograph are put into this YouTube channel, and this has been officially linked into the Sri Venkateswara Veterinary University and the Indian Association of Veterinary Anatomists websites. You can simply type Wild Body Program Gannavaram. You will access our YouTube channel. So this is how we have been working on alternatives in the field of veterinary education. The prime purpose of it is to see that healthy animal sacrifice is avoided. We have come to the end point, and we have almost done away with the healthy animal sacrifice. And the dissections on healthy animal sacrifice are not being done anymore. As I have told you, we have come through the procedures, curricular changes, evolving of techniques, having the prosected specimens, videographing those prosections, and providing animals for education through the body donation program. And in addition to that, we have found out many non-animal teaching methods. We have done digitization and we provide digital alternatives. And another aspect of it is the radiographic or medical imaging. So all the clinical case studies and all the clinical cases that are being handled in our veterinary clinical complex, we use those computed radiographs for teaching anatomy. In addition, we have mannequins. Mannequins are functional models, and we have simulators. And these are all used to teach the functional aspects. I'll be elaborating on these in the coming slides. So in addition to those physical alternatives, we use a host of digital alternatives. We have the virtual reality, we have the Anatomage table. The virtual reality, you must have seen many of the videos that you can see the inside of the organs in the screen. And we have also the Anatomage table, which is a touchscreen technology, life-size table, wherein you can remove layer by layer of the animals under study, and you can learn them, you can freeze them, you can do anything you want with them. And you have the augmented reality tablet, that is 3D virtual dissection. You see that Giants like Microsoft and Google also have entered into this field, and you have the app-based ones, that is the Microsoft HoloLens and the Google's Tilt Brush, which are technologies in the area of this veterinary education to see that they are provided with digital alternatives. So we make the best use of CAL, the computer assisted learning, and we go into these digital mode of alternatives in addition to the physical alternatives. Now, coming to the physical alternatives, we were earlier having the models of the animals and the models of the animal parts made of plaster of Paris. It did not have a long shelf life, and it used to fade out, it used to break. Then came the development of the fiber optic resin models. But here it is that more of chemicals are used in the preparation of these models. Then came the technology of the plastinated models developed in Germany. That means it is retrieving the animal parts from the dead animal bodies, preparing them with a lot of chemicals and seeing to it that they are made as models which have a lifelike appearance. The point here is, though they are very good lifelike models, they are made from the animal body parts. And a number of hazardous chemicals are used in the preparation of these models. This, I am telling you, is the sequence of how the alternative, that is, the physical models, have evolved. Later, we have got the development of the mannequins and simulators. As I have already explained, these are used not just to explain the structure, but to explain the functional aspects of these organs. And if you go further, you have seen the development of taxidermy specimens. Taxidermy, if you see the olden days Maharaja palaces, you will see hanging on the walls a number of skulls of the wild animals and a number of the stuffed bodies of those animals that were hunted. They still retain their lifelike experience. It is just like stuffed toys. So when we procure animal cadavers, we see to it that we retrieve those animals, and using all the techniques, we use the animals for teaching purpose. And the skin is so well prepared that we make it into a specimen, just like you see in the palaces of the olden days. They are treated in a different ways, and life-size specimens are prepared, and they are put in the museums of the colleges for study. And now if you see, this concept of body painting has evolved. So what is this body painting? It is a painting of the different structures that you see inside the animal body on the animal body itself. Painting on the animal body. You see, this is a taxidermy specimen of a rat. We have retrieved all the organs, and they will be useful for study. And just as a model of the life creature, we see that we have prepared this taxidermy model of the rat. You see the purse type structure that is prepared. It can be opened and closed. So this is the body painting. You see the horse skeleton. This is not a diagram. This is just the drawing of the horse skeleton on the body of the horse. You see the way the students can learn. We in every veterinary college have the stables for equids as part of the remote veterinary core unit. And if we can paint on one of the horses on one side the skeletal system and on the other side, the muscular system, and similarly on other one, the visceral organs, like what we see in the color atlases. It will be very useful even on the ground for the student to learn while doing equestrian activities. So this is a body painting. This should be with the consent of the owner, and this should be having good life to hold on for the painting on the body to be for a long time. These are all the techniques. Whatever will be the length of usage of these technologies, that is a different matter. But these are all the different alternatives that we can find to the real use of the animal bodies, especially the live animals. So this was what I just explained about. I was the recipient of the Humane Education Award in the year 2003 from the International Network for Humane Education, England, and they have given me a grant of 1 lakh rupees. And with that, I purchased these fiber optic resin models, and these are seen in my museum. This is another picture of both same. Now, as we have started to evolve, and as we have started to gain grounds, and as we have started to progress on the preparation of different alternatives, 3D printing is another technology. So, like the physical alternatives that you have seen, like some of the digital alternatives that you have seen, this is a technology that is the 3D printing technology. And with this technology, with a 3D computer aided design, we try to reconstruct the 3D physical models. That means we just fabricate in a machine by reading from a 3D drawing. And you build up a model from a series of cross sections and you amalgamate them to see that the full drawing becomes into a full model. And the physical model becomes into a computer aided design. It is a simple, rapid prototyping way of 3D printing. And just like you give a command for a text document and you get a printout through a printer, you have specialized 3D printers and they are fed with the different types of chemicals and different combinations. And as I have said, it is just 3D computer aided design. So with this 3D computer aided design, if you design these models and if you have all the requisites that are necessary for 3D printing, you can see that the physical models that are prepared through a series of cross sections that are put into shape will build up a model, and you give a print command, that 3D model gets printed and it gives exactly the shape, form, and the design of a real animal part. So this is 3D printing and the printed alternatives. These are all the usages of the different technologies that are available to see that we find alternatives to the real animal parts. The real animal parts you only get when you sacrifice a live animal. We are trying to develop these alternatives. Alternatives right from the sacrifice of animals, preparation of the specimens, and implementation of the 3Rs, and the physical and digital alternatives, and the 3D printed alternatives. Of course, this is a very costly affair. It is not really to the reach of many countries. We have not seen in India the 3D printed alternatives being developed. In advanced countries where they can afford, this is taking grounds. And it's a matter of time, I think, we also get the cheaper designs which we can cater to, and we can also use the 3D printed models. But what I have done in this Indian context, in the scenario of our country, is that I have thought out of the box and saw into it that why not we innovate another model, another technology to develop the models on the similar lines to serve the purpose for the student. So in this, though out of the context, I would like to extrapolate and say Vijayawada is a place where you have the village Kondapalli and they prepare the engraved toys and they have a patent. So with this background and with the idea of the different technologies that were evolving, I wanted to develop a technology and that should be a non-animal alternative and that should serve the purpose of humane veterinary education and that should be cost effective, that should have long shelf life, that should be eco-friendly. So with all this in mind, I have taken the initiation to develop the teak wood alternatives. They are cost effective, as I have said, and absolutely there is no use of any chemical because each and every chemical that you use in any of these technologies are all hazardous. There is not much technology that is used, and the time taken to prepare is reasonably good. They are durable and permanent. Most important is they are aesthetic to handle. Any live animal part or any animal model that has been prepared using chemicals is not aesthetic to handle by the students. They definitely have offensive odor. But this teak wood alternative model will not be having any offensive odor and it is aesthetic to handle. So this is a complete replacement to animal body parts and also to chemicals. As I have told you, we encourage the concepts of self-study by giving well-labeled index cards. And I'll be showing all these in the coming slides. So you see this, everybody can make out. Even a person who has no knowledge of biology can say that this is the brain, the two hemispheres of the brain. The sagittal view. Sagittal view in scientific parlance means the medial view. You are seeing from the mid side. So you see the two brain hemispheres on the sagittal section, and you can very well make out all the parts of the brain. And this is on the best quality teak wood, and it is only by engraving. You see this another piece on which we have painted and we have given the labeling. So this is the index card that we put to see that that labeling is exactly as per the labeling you see in this index card. This is from a book and exactly the same labeling we have done on the part. I'll just go one slide back. You can compare. And this is what we say is encouraging self-study concepts. This is another view of the same, both the hemispheres put together, and you are seeing from a dorsal view how the brain looks like when you see from above. This is the same, but it is a ventral view. You can make out very well. You can see all the optic nerves. You can see the olfactory bulbs. You can see each and every part of the brain that you need to study. You were earlier studying through a brain that was taken out from the skull of an animal that was sacrificed, an animal that was purchased, an animal, the parts of which were prepared using a number of chemicals. And now you just glance and you just think what the efficacy of this technique is. This is the well-labeled index card for this, that is the previous Teakwood model on a ventral view. So this is the kidney. Parietal view means the view from outside. This is the visceral view, the view from the inner side. You can see the ureter. This is the ureter. You can see how the kidney, the structure of the kidney will be, how the ducts are collecting the urine, how it goes out through the ureter. This is the index card that we give to the student along with the Teakwood model. You see, this is the head of a buffalo. You see, this is the cranial cavity, and this is the brain. You see, this is the stem, and you see, this is the spinal cord. This is the trachea. This is the esophagus. This is the tongue. This is the whole cavity. So these are all alternatives to the real animal parts. This is the index card, which supports the self-study concepts. Different parts. These are the veins, these are the arteries, these are the nerves, this is the eye. Everything is self-explanatory. And as I have told you, these are supported with the index cards. You see this beautiful specimen? Nobody will think that this was made of teakwood. You see this, how it is? Every structure that you can see on the internal surface of the heart, the two halves of the heart, right half and left half, you can see and you can study. This is the external surface of the heart. These are the index cards. This is the liver of dog. This is the liver of dog, the self-supporting index card. You see the eyeball. This is also made of teakwood, and you see that like a toy, it can be dismantled. Every part of the real eyeball, which we normally dissect by taking the eyeball from an animal and show to the students. In a similar fashion, you can see that you see, these are the extraocular muscles. Each and every muscle you can remove, and this is the globe. You can remove each and every part inside the globe. Every part of the eyeball can be studied by taking it out, and it can be assembled back. This is an external alternative to study this organ, and we support this with these index cards. So the prime purpose is to see that alternatives are found with respect to sacrifice of animals, with respect to development of the animal parts, with respect to evolving techniques, with respect to usage of the different materials for the development of these alternatives. It is not just that we use some materials and develop a good alternative. The materials that are used should not be carcinogenic. The materials that we use should not be costly. And these materials should have a long life. So this process of development of alternatives in veterinary education is a continuous process. as I have just shown you, right from the days of sacrificing healthy live animals to these days where no animal is used except in the clinics when they go to the third professional year, when they start to treat live animals and when they start to learn by treating live animals. The processes in the non-animal are, and of course, it is not just that it is 100% non-animal. We use animals to the best extent possible, minimizing, as I have explained you earlier, and all those animal bodies are available in the freezers of our departments for the students to do cadaver surgery, because hands-on skills development is an important process for one to be a good clinician or a surgeon, or to see that a dystocia, that is a difficulty in parturition, that is a delivery, it can be well effected in the clinical scenario. So we couple both of them. We provide the animals which are from an ethical source. That is the important thing. That is the important difference compared to the previous years. Those are the techniques that we develop and are being implemented. And I once again say that this is not the end. I say that the development of alternatives is a continuous process, as you have just seen. It is only that we should take it as a challenge with commitment, and we should adopt and adapt all these technologies. And it's very important that you think out of the box and have innovative ideas. And also, I always keep telling that why should we say that we should meet international standards? Why not we set international standards that others can meet? We will meet international standards. We will also set international standards. I thank you. I thank the organizers. I thank you all for the patient listening and the time you have spared to listen to my topic. Thank you.
I thank Professor Previous Kishore for the informative talk. Thank you, sir.